As always, it's me, Emperor AP, and today we are driving into the U.S. state of Georgia to go to a wedding. So we have a pretty exciting event going on right now. But other than that, we are hanging out, and I figured since we have such a long drive, I might as well live stream. I took over the first leg of the trip, and Tiffany's taking over the second. So I figured I'd spend some time with you guys and check in. Yesterday, I wanted to say Empress Alicia from the Empire of Draconia ended up joining us and hosting a live stream on our channel talking about East Palestine and the issues in Ohio and the cleanup effort. So thank you to everybody who went and checked that out. It means a lot, and if you haven't watched it yet, definitely go back and check it out. Again, it's on our channel. If you watch it, it gives us support, but it's also nice to be able to show them support. They're going to be coming back in about a week so that they can do their interview with some of the people who are actually going about the cleanup effort there in East Palestine. So that is a big deal. And I appreciate you guys being there to support us. First off, Republic of Unity said, hi AP. Hey Unity, how are you? It's good to hear from you. I know you've reached out to us a few times. I need to reach back out and message you again because we've been in the middle of a conversation for a while now, and I've been slow on responding. I have been not able to stream for the last couple weeks because I have been swamped with stuff with our school life as well as with trying to help out my dad and trying to do stuff for Vitae. We haven't had much time to stream, but that being the case, as of right now, I am excited to be updating you guys and see what everybody's up to as well. Whitewind says, good afternoon, Emperor AP. Good afternoon, Whitewind. It's good to see you. I am sorry to hear about the news that's been going on in Whitewind. Whitewind commented on one of our previous videos that they're having some trouble, and I'm really sorry to hear about that. Talking about the concept that their citizens, one of their territories ended up leaving because of an increase in taxes. And I'm definitely sorry to hear about that. I know that's a rough situation to be in. Excuse me, I had to swipe away a notification. Hey Alicia, it's good to see you. Empress Alicia's here with us as well. Again, I told everybody to go and check out the stream from yesterday if they haven't already, and that you're going to be doing one in about a week. The thing that was interesting when Whitewind messaged and sent that response was that it really made me start thinking about the concept that micronations in general are a place for people to find the life that they want to lead and to be able to try and push for the goals that they have for that life. And so I think it's particularly interesting because when we see stuff like that happen where, you know, micronations have like some factionalism in them, they may break apart for some time, or they may change governments or something like that. A lot of that is all in the process of developing. It's growing pains for a micronation. And I think that all has to do with a misalignment between the interests of the people who start the micronation and the interests of the people who are in it. You always want to make sure that you're well representing the people who are a part of your micronation. But if you are developing something with a specific idea in mind, a lot of the time you want to really make sure that the people who are supporting you and joining you are aligned with those interests. And so a big problem that a lot of micronations have, because it's really easy to fall into and it makes a lot of sense to do in the beginning, is to be very general and nondescript about what your micronation is and what its purpose is. I definitely prefer that method over the concept of people doing the reverse, where they're actually writing out everything in, you know, 300 pages of documentation before they even start talking to people about it. So there's definitely something to be said for going out and getting people to support you in the beginning. You end up in a situation where you're finding that all the people who have joined you don't actually support the goals and methods that you have to achieve in your nation, then there can be that issue and that disconnect. So I think it's important, like Whitewind did, you know, as soon as you start to want to move forward with something, put that out to your people. Let them know, hey, there's going to be an increase in taxes, there's going to be this or that. and this is why we're doing it, and this is what our interest is. And that may cause people to leave. Politics is fairly messy in that sense. And so it can be... What's that? Oh yeah, they're being kind of weird. Sorry guys, we're also... Yeah, Tiffany is upset with a car that's in front of us. It is a whole big issue.
Well, they want to go like really fast to cut someone off, but then the moment you get behind them, they want to start slowing down and braking.
They are kind of being jerks. But I just wanted to say that because I think trying to get that ahead of people as much as possible is important. But ultimately, if people want to leave your nation, that's something that they can do at any point. And that's something that you as a leader, or you as just even a citizen of another micronation, have to be able to come to terms with. And you have to be able to identify that yourself. Is the place that I'm at the right place for me? Does the thing that I'm doing in micronationalism actually help me to pursue the life that I want to live, and what I think the world should be like? That's really, really tough to do a lot of time, is to grapple between what your individual interest is and what the popular opinion is, or what, will make people most easily join your nation. But you have to take a perspective of the reason that you develop a micronation in the first place. If you're just trying to do something to get a whole bunch of people to join it, then you should be able to constantly and easily change your nation with the whim of the people. But that's not necessarily the goal of all micronations, and I don't think it should be. If you were going to start something that doesn't really have a purpose or interest, then there's no reason to do that, as opposed to just joining something that already exists and trying to fight for your own interest there. People generally create these countries because they're trying to push for something new, push for something different, and if you don't stand for that and continue to try and find people who agree with that, you're going to end up in a situation where you don't know who's in it for the long run. Real quick, I'd like to recognize some people who are commenting. White Wind says, I hope our former territory would recognize that I was doing it for the good of the empire. If they don't, I wish them luck with their own micronation. They call themselves, and then kind of just left it. It's good to see you, White Wind, and again, I hope they do too. Workers Communist Republic of Cretaria says, hello AP, Nautica recently had a name change. When you get a chance, I do know you're busy, but just when you get the chance. Oh, absolutely. I will jump on that at some point soon, and try and update the map for you. I saw your message about that as well. I appreciate you reaching out. Shia of Imam Ali says, Assalamu alaikum. How are you, AP? I'm doing well, Shia of Imam Ali. How are you? It's good to see you joining us in the stream, and let me know what you're up to. Let me know how your nation's developing. White Wind says, Sal, what? How do you say that? I'm gonna butcher it, I'm sure, because I have an American accent, but Assalamu alaikum, I think. It's like glory to God, like praise be to Allah, I think. Francisco says, good afternoon, AP, how are you? Good to see you, Francisco. I hope you're doing well. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Just, first off, seeing what everybody's up to, trying to reach out, and trying to figure out in my own mind, and with all of your help and expertise, what it is that is the best method for that. I know for myself, I have constantly been kind of riding the edge of that, where I will really want to do something in particular for my vision of Aeternia and for what I think it needs to be in order to be successful. And then I see, oh, well, this thing is more popular, or doing things in this style is something that's more attractive to people. So then I'll find myself just kind of leaning a different way, and then I'll end up realizing that that's not, the exact thing that I want to do, so then I have to modify it back a little bit, and it ends up becoming all of these fine-tuned adjustments, where when you first start something, you're making really big sweeping changes because you've never done it before, and you don't know what works and what doesn't, and then eventually you're just kind of making some very, very small, like needle-like changes. and that can be tough. It can be tough to feel like you're constantly needing to adapt stuff, but ultimately doing that, I think, helps you to find a good balance between your vision and your ideas and what everybody else can contribute to the nation and what they see as their way of life. You're never going to have a 100% equal idea as somebody else. Even when you think you're on the same page with someone, if you really talk to them long enough, you would have differences between your opinion on a subject matter and theirs, even if the broad strokes are the same. And so that being the case, when you are doing this, when you are developing a nation, when you're developing any organization, you start with that big picture, you get as many people who agree with that big picture as possible, and then you try to whittle it down and you try to fine tune and say, okay, well, this is the direction that we're choosing to go forward with. And during that entire process, there's going to be people who fall off, and there's going to be people who are excited about that and join on because of the new changes that you've made. If you always try and stay general, or if you always try and stay people-pleasing, you won't get anywhere. But on the flip side of it, if you always say it's my way or the highway, you won't have too many people coming along for the ride. Let's see. Francisco said, good afternoon, AP. How are you? Good afternoon, Francisco. White One says, AP, did you not get that comment? I didn't leave it off. I just ran out of typing space. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get what the name was. I got everything up to the name. Shia Mama Ali says, the Caliphate is doing great, and Union of Arab Micronations got another member. And then they said they pegged their currency to gold. Hey, congratulations. Is the pegging of your currency something that the entire Union of Arab Micronations did, or is that something that just your nation took on? And kind of what was your thought process behind that? Did you have any pushback, whether it's from people in your nation or people in the Union of Arab Micronations? Let us know. Wayward says, nice. We have the USD as our currency right now, but for international trade, we have the White Atlantic note. It's worth nothing in the United States eyes, but we trade them for goods. That's completely understandable. It's, the same thing with basically any micronational currency. I don't know that there are many, if any, micronational currencies that are truly accepted wide, across the world. I think and in many cases even locally, that's why I've pushed for so long with the money transmitters license idea. There is a legal license in the United States and in most countries that you can get, which is called a money transmitters license, and it essentially allows you to trade or create things that are to be used as a means of value exchange, a currency. And so that is a legal process in which you can do something that makes that possible. Again, look into your local laws, make sure that you're doing everything the right way, but that is something that I've been particularly interested in for a while, and that I hope to do with the Imperial Note, so that way I can go to businesses and other places and say, hey, this is, something that's I'm legally allowed to trade for US dollars, which if you were to do it just by yourself, while you may not get in trouble for small amounts of it, creating something like that and making it transactable for currency, not as something that somebody's paying for, but as something that's used as a medium for exchange, can get you in trouble in the US. And so I think that in a lot of countries, and so I think it's important to make sure that you're following the rules on that and trying to set things up as efficiently as possible. The problem with that is it's expensive. Doing all of that filing, hiring a lawyer to make sure everything's right with it, really making sure that you understand what it is that you're doing, what the limitations are, how much you're going to be taxed. Some of those licenses have specific monetary requirements that a business has to meet, like a certain net worth before you can do that. And all of that is a very big it is something that's, I think, well worth it in the end. And I think making decisions like that as to the fine points of your economy or your plan for citizenship recruitment or for the type of government that you have, even all of those things are fundamental to what type of people are going to be interested in joining you, and in doing so, in thinking about those different ideas, you can also think about what type of people you think would enjoy those things. So if you have a really, for example, liberal social policy, you probably don't want to look to hardcore conservatives as your base of support. You may find some people who agree with you on some things and will join your nation for their own interests and their own reasons, but if they feel like those beliefs that they have are hard fought, they may soon realize that they're not getting what they're interested in and leave. Whereas if you were able to say, hey, based on these things about my micronation, I know that specifically more liberal people or specifically more conservative people or whatever would align with the interests of my nation, that may make it easier to target those people. It may make it easier to recruit because your recruitment isn't just to anybody and everybody, it's specifically to people that you think would get along well with the rest of the group.
This person has been above face the whole time.
They have been.
Even after we passed them, they decided that when we were coming up to slow it down traffic, they wanted to speed up, come around us, cut off a different car that was in front of us, and now, even though they were forewarned that the lane ended, they wanted to ride it out and then about hit the car in front of us.
Yes.
So dumb.
What Tiffany's saying is 100% true. This person has been like riding around and being crazy. On top of it, they have like a thing on the back of their car that's something like one last ride. Like it looks like a bachelorette party type of thing.
Yeah, but then they also like just keep cutting off people. It is gonna be their last ride. They're gonna die. They're gonna kill themselves.
Good.
Well, the way they're driving, they will.
Agreed. U.S. traffic, huh? All this U.S. traffic, crazy. By the way, everybody, this is a very side note thing. I'm sporting the ascot there for Aeternia. I don't have the jacket on today. Going a little bit incognito in the U.S., but we do always have the ascot there on, and we also have the nice Aeternian leg wraps, our cultural leg wraps. I have those on, so I'm sporting the look today. I'm representing Aeternia, hanging out with you guys, and I hope you all are doing well and able to represent your nations. We are, like I said, trying to get into Georgia right now, the U.S. state of Georgia. We're actually in Georgia at the moment, but we are trying our best to make it down to the wedding as quick as possible. There's a rehearsal tonight, so we won't actually be attending the wedding tonight, but tomorrow we will, and this will be my first time participating in a wedding party, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I'm excited to see everybody here. Unity brought up another one, saying, okay, first, Imam Ali said, we are using gold coins that Daesh made. Now keep in mind, I am a Shia, so I cannot support those disbelievers. Gotcha. Republic of Unity said, SHI, ours is pegged to a ratio of silver to gold, and 1 hour is 1/2 ounce of silver. Interesting. That's pretty cool. Imam Ali says, Union of Arab Micronations is similar to the EU. There are 3 states that have their own currencies, not the gold dinar. Got you. Okay, so all of them are independent. It was just your nation that decided to peg its currency. Communist Republic of Qatar says, hey AP, we've started to expand our treasury and now we have tons of bars of tin and started a clay storage. We hope in the future we can start trade. Absolutely. Congratulations. That's very cool. Imam Ali says, Sinai Republic is using Sinaian Kurus, Andalusia Emirate is using Andalusian dinar, and Cyrenaica Emirate is using. So we might change our currency to the White Atlantic coin. It's going to be like an old-fashioned coin, but it's going to be completely made in whitewood with ideas that you gave me with your aluminum bars. It sounds like when me and my family rushed from Ohio to Texas in 24 hours in a car. That absolutely does sound like it. It's a similar kind of road trip. Ohio to Texas, though, is pretty far. White Wind did like the loading thing. I hope the loading isn't too bad for everybody. Let me know. But White Wind, I wanted to tell you as well, we just do metals casting. So not only do we have our own metal ingots that we make, but we also now make coins. If you haven't seen some of our videos and stuff where we've shown off the coins for Cal Exit that we are making, you should definitely check that out. We cast them some copper coins with the wording, the text Cal Exit, numbers stamped on the back. If you guys are interested in having your coins minted, let me know. I'd be happy to do that as a form of trade. Shia of Imam Ali says, no, AP, if another state wants to adopt the gold dinar, it can. It's an obligation to adopt the dinar, same as the Eurozone. Gotcha. Okay, cool deal. So they do need to adopt it. Okay. White Wind says, yes, I've seen those. They look amazing. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, if you're interested, you can do that. And if you're interested in developing trade, that would be a good way to do so. I'll say as well, one of the things that has been particularly interesting that I have been thinking about. The closer that it gets to summer, the more like stuff there is to do with the Tay and with well, hold on. Before I get on that tangent, because that's going to be a whole conversation. With everybody talking about the pegging their currencies to a metal or to some kind of precious metal. Have you guys seen our newest micronational economics video? In it, I talk about the concept of fiat currencies versus backed currencies, and the consensus that I came to effectively was that for generations and generations we've been using these backed currencies backed in gold or silver or something else, and that the invention of fiat currency was something very important because it came to define the understanding that this currency isn't inherently worth anything. Even the gold and silver is just based on the value that the market decides on it. So when we're trying to create these currencies that we want to have value, they still, by just having them pegged to a specific precious metal and its value, is a good way to start. But I ultimately concluded that having a fiat currency allows the value of the currency to be pegged to the value of your nation, how much it can output, what its economy actually is like, its GDP, stuff like that, which is why most currencies are associated that way today, because it understands that that currency is going to fluctuate in value, even if it's backed by something like gold or silver, because the value of gold or silver will fluctuate as the economy does. And so it's really a test of your economy, how your nation's currency fluctuates. Therefore, you don't need it to be backed by something. But that was just my opinion. That was what I concluded in the video. I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. For those of you who have pegged your currency, if you haven't watched that video, again, I'm gonna promote it and shout it out. Please check it out. But also, just for my understanding, like, if you listen, I got you. Tiffany said, more Dr. Pepper, please. So when you're doing that, I guess that would be my question, is having educated yourself, not just through watching that one video, but going and looking it up on your own, and your maybe Treasury Department, Economics Ministry, putting together materials and saying this is why we're wanting to move to a gold standard or a silver standard. Just let me know what your decision was and why you decided to do it. Again, there's nothing wrong with doing it at all. I just think the fiat currencies allow for a lot that the gold and silver backed currencies may have limitations on. For example, you talk about things like inflation. You say that, oh, well, you can print a lot of gold, you can print a lot of your currency, and that would drive it into inflation. But that is something that is a benefit of currencies, is that specifically non-backed currencies, is that you can mess with that valuation by printing more or less of it without severely reducing its value as far as the reserve of a specific resource you have. You would still be diluting its value by pumping more into the economy, but that is in a different sense than the direct reduction based on a specific. You can do it based on market trends. Anyway, let's jump back into reading a few comments, and then I will jump on talking about Vitae and kind of going back to what it is that the value that micronations have, and why trying to lead that specific type of life is so important. Whitewind says, yes, I've seen those. They look amazing. About the coins that we've made. Francisco says Yara has adopted the euro as its official currency yesterday. Hey, congratulations, Francisco. Do you feel like that will help you with support in Europe? Do you feel like that will give you more clout? What was your kind of economic reasoning behind it? Whitewind says, I don't know if I can end up making it into a trade because we have no money. Almost everything is going to be personally paid, and I myself only have $310. Oh, no, I completely understand that, Whitewind. I guess I'm saying, if there's something... I'm trying to figure out how to do that. We'd still have to think about it, but if there is something that you do have of value to trade, we may be able to, make that into a thing where we would say, hey, every time you send us X amount of stuff, we send you back X amount of those coins. So that way you could have something that's nice and well produced, but is still something that is fully Whitewind, and as well starts us up with something, a way to trade. Again, that may not be feasible, and if it's not, I completely understand that. I have been in that situation for years with Aeternia, where I wasn't, I just didn't have enough stuff to be able to say, hey, I can send out, any kind of packages or anything with any frequency. It just cost too much. I didn't have anything of value to send, and so I can definitely understand that. Aeternia has been there, and one way or another, we'll figure something out. Francisco says Euro has replaced the Yara and peso at a rate of €1 to 3.23 pesos. Oh wow, okay. Whitewind says, I watched that entire series you talked about, Leo. That's why I'm trying to get it running, but it's very slow. Oh, absolutely. No, I completely understand. Again, that we've been developing Aeternia as a whole for 6 years, 4 years basically on YouTube, and just now have we gotten land, which again was primarily paid out of our pockets. A chunk was helped with thanks to the channel, and I don't think we would have been able to get it without the Aeternian community pitching in. But that being the case, it still was an incredible thing for us to be able to do only 4 years in. 4 years feels like a lot of time, but when our economy didn't start until basically 4 years ago, we weren't doing it. And even less than that, maybe 3 3.75 of a year ago or something, because we started the Patreon a couple months after really starting to post on the channel. The thing that bothers me though is that even then, even when you're starting to get things up and running, even if you get a few patrons or you start selling stuff on an online store or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean you have the ability to engage with other nations to a large degree. Unless you just have a lot of reserve currency, you don't have much in the way of disposable income to spare to sending other nations stuff and to giving gifts and doing things like that. So it can be really tough on micronations. And so I completely get that, and that is no problem at all. Even if you wanted to do something online, I know you guys create a lot of cool stuff. There's a way for us to interact, even if it has to be something that doesn't cost any money, which I would also prefer, because even though we have a few things, we're not rolling in it. Whitewind says, I had watched that entire series. Yep. Unity said we made room for notes and vouchers and credits. Hey, very cool. That's exciting. Whitewind says, I have to go in a few minutes. We'll be back though. Sounds good. Good luck with whatever you have to do, Whitewind, and we'll be thinking of you. Oh, I'm sorry. I goofed. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's see. Francisco says, Euro will help Yara. Reason for that is most of our exports are going to Eurozone countries. That makes sense. Yep, absolutely. That economically sounds like you're just catering to your customer, your market. So that's a smart move, honestly. I think that's pretty reasonable. Whitewind says, hopefully I can get trade started with Aeternia in a few years. Just got to get Rightwind running well. I completely understand, and I am very supportive of that. If there's anything that we can do, let me know, though. Like, I feel like a lot of the time that's what people say is, oh, well, come to me when you have something. Show up once you've got money to spend or something. That's not what I'm saying at all, Whitewood. If there is a way that we can do something, even online, I'll create some content or I'll do whatever, reach out to us. Let us know what you can do even online, even just with discussion. I want to be able to do that, to connect with your nation so that we can actually make some forward progress, because there may be ways with us having, the 2,000 something people that are a part of our community now, like 2,100 people who are awesome enough to be part of this community. I'm sure there's something that we can do to try and shout you out, Whitewood, to try and get more attention driven that way, which could maybe hit the economic situation. So let's figure that out. If you want to reach out to us, if we can plan something. If there's anything you can think of at all, if you're good with graphic design, if you're good with websites, if you're good with, creating video content, like any and all of that would be very, very helpful to us. Just let us know. Just, one of the things we're hoping to do soon is to launch the quests in our prestige system, where a lot of people, I'm not sure if you're included, but I don't believe so. If I recall correctly, I don't believe you have a sovereign's license yet. But there are 3 different tiers essentially in the prestige system, which is a license system for the Aeternian community. So we have citizenship licenses, which of course go to Aeternian citizens. We have foreign dignitaries licenses, which go to the leaders of other countries, specifically who want to more closely interact with Aeternia. That's something that costs a little bit of money, the same way that citizenship does. It's just a way to provide additional, support for trade negotiations and stuff. But then there's also a sovereign's license, which is completely free, and something that anybody, whether they're a part of Aeternia, another country, whatever, can get, which essentially just says, I'm someone who's a part of the Aeternian community at large, not necessarily a citizen, who participates in the economy. You effectively are just registering your information with us, and what that allows for is us to eventually start pumping out these quests, where we're going to be saying on our Discord, on our website, hey, we have these particular things we need. These are some items to look out for physically that we would love to trade, or these are, some things that we need. We need this kind of post for our Twitter or for our Instagram. We need, we're throwing a contest where we want art or something. Send in your best whatever. Send in your best, submission for this competition, and we're going to start giving out rewards for those. So a lot of those rewards will probably start out as small things for, small quests that will get you, some kind of digital benefit. Then we may start sending out stickers. Then we may start sending out some of our metal ingots as the effort required for each of these quests becomes larger and larger. So that could be a way, not just through those quests, but doing similar things with you directly, Whitewind, could be a way for us to increase the value of your economy by just using the workforce that you have and who you are and who your citizens are to produce things that you could then sell to us in exchange for certain benefits, such as advertisements, such as some of these physical gifts. So just let us know. First off, let's see. Francisco said also yarn peso can be used for next 1 month in parallel with the euro. Minimum wage in Yara has been raised to 500 euros, and average wage is 780 euros. Very cool. Whiteman says, unfortunately, I don't have the license yet. I'm a kid that didn't get the name's Bonds, Imperial Bonds. Hey, I appreciate it. He's talking about our Patreon tier. So yes, we have like different tiers on our Patreon, which can give you different perks. And one of those is just directly the Foreign Dignitaries license. So it's $5 a month if you pay that, and then you can get effectively someone specifically designated to you in the Empire of Aeternia to be your liaison with our government. So, you know, if you want certain things to happen a little bit quicker, if you want to, you know, try to facilitate, you know, a lot of trade or something with us, if you're planning that there's going to be a lot of interaction that we're going to need to have, you know, starting big joint commercial projects and stuff, that would be the point that you would want to get that. So that way we have somebody who's constantly abreast of that situation in particular. That there is one person who is over Aeternian insert country here relations, so that, you know, that can constantly stay running smoothly, and we have somebody who's managing those affairs well. Whiteman, good to see you. Can't wait to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us. Chad Cook jumped in and said hello. Hey, what's going on, Chad? How are you? Are you cooking up something right now, Chad? Let us know. I hope you're doing well. We just finished having lunch a little while ago, and now we are passing through the U.S. state of Georgia right now, trying to attend a wedding. So that's particularly exciting. Like I said earlier, we are going for the practice, effectively the rehearsal for it. So I can't wait. This is my first time, like I said, being actually in a wedding party, so this is kind of a different thing for me. But I am excited to get to see everybody. So Chad, are you a micronationalist? Like, let us know. Are you just somebody who stumbled on? Regardless, we appreciate you being here. We're talking about the concept of the value that nations to bring to people's lives, and how we as micronationalists kind of sort that out for ourselves. Whether we are doing the things that we want to reach to the life that we hope for, are we correctly representing our nation to people who are looking for a better way to live, and are our people responding well and supportive of the things that we are doing as governments. All of those things are incredibly important to make sure that we have tight cohesion in our nations, and that people feel like they're truly able to be represented, to be heard, and to participate in something that they find valuable. If you're there working to do to achieve all of these goals for your nation, but your citizens don't feel like they're their goals as well, they don't see the value in achieving these things, then clearly they're not going to be excited about staying there very long, because they don't find it fulfilling, rewarding. So we've got to find ways to do that, and that's something that I think in my leadership role in Aeternia, I have been constantly mulling over in my head every time we make new videos, every time we try to accomplish new goals. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going about this in the most efficient way possible? Am I going about this in the best way to represent Aeternia, what it means? That's tough, and it's something that you won't always get right, but it's something that you can always improve on, no matter how good you are at it. Francisco said, also we will mint yarn Euro coins. Ooh, that's interesting. With yarn motifs, everything. Hey, very cool. How does that work? Like, are there Euro coins for all the different countries? I'm a little bit ignorant of the way that the Euro works as a currency, you know, where it's manufactured, where it's minted, stuff like that. Workers' Communist Republic of Cretaria says, also due to the major change, we got rid of full emperor, and now I am instead a president. Hey, very yeah, that's a large change in the government, though. How has that worked, and do you feel like it's something that was needed? How long, I guess, in development was this transition? Was it something that all of a sudden happened overnight? There was a crazy referendum? Was it something that, you know, you had been trying to run this imperial government for a while and it wasn't ever really working out, so everybody knew there was something that you needed to change to? What was the circumstance? Also, I'm not trying to advertise, I just was thirsty. Ooh, Chad says looking into it, not yet decided. That's pretty cool. So tell us about that then, because that's something that we don't get a lot of an opinion on here. There is very rarely in the micronational community someone who comes along who says, I'm an outside observer. I'm somebody who doesn't have an attachment to a micronation or to the idea of starting a micronation. I am simply an onlooker, and I'm somebody who's trying to learn about this. What is your take on all this? Do you know much about micronationalism? Have you found our channel before? What was the thing that drove you here, I guess? I would love to learn as much as I can, because us getting that exposure to different people's opinions and the outlook of somebody who is coming into the community for the first time tells us how to improve, and also tells us if we are marketing the right way, specifically for us in Aeternia, but as well just for micronationalism. There could be something that we're sleeping on, that we're missing, that you provide us information on. So I would definitely appreciate it. The more you can contribute, the more that you can share your ideas here, I think the better for everyone. Francisco says, also, the insurgency in Northern Yara is intensifying. Oh, goodness. I wish you guys well. But again, that's something that's interesting. I've heard you, Yara, bring up multiple times, not just in this stream, but in other streams, about insurgencies and, you know, conflicts that are happening in your nation and stuff. You know us in Aeternia, we're very anti-war in general. And so that terminology, that language, kind of sits strangely with me. But more so than that, I'm curious as to what that means as far as the rest of your people. If this is an insurgency, then that seems like it means that there are people within your nation, which I assume is relatively small, you know, even if it's 30, 50 people. Having a group of those people be like angry enough to be revolted seems to be like indicating some problem. How have you guys, you know, initiated that and kind of dealt with that? Is there something that you feel like would be a good compromise that you could figure out with those people as to what their qualms are? Do you feel like you should just let those people go? You know, if it's that much of a headache, why keep trying to wrangle these people back in? Why not just let them do their own thing? Republic of Unity said, Workers' Communist Republic. I am just a... Hey, very cool. Francisco says, yes, every member of the Euros must mint their own Euro coins. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. That seems like a good way to decentralize power. But I also think it seems very inefficient, because that means every single country needs to have a mint, which could just have a better utilization of resources elsewhere. It would, I think, make more sense to me to have a central location where all of it's minted. Francisco says, yes, every member of the Eurozone. Well, also because that seems like it sets up a situation where you not only need to have a mint in every country, but you also have to have a good way to verify the legitimacy of each coin or each euro in each country, because each country is minting their own, so they may have different standards or slightly different standards. And you know, if you bring a Dutch euro versus a German euro, a Swedish euro, how do those change, and how do you determine in another country whether another country's euro is legitimate? Again, I'm just a little bit ignorant.
I thought he was gonna gum in the lane, so I was trying to, but then he went straight across.
No, you're good. That was a little nerve-wracking. Okay.
Well, I saw him start going. I was like, I don't think he sees me, so if I go over, maybe I won't get him.
Makes sense. Chad says, stumbled onto Sealand on YouTube and have been interested ever since. That's pretty cool. If you want to know more about us, I would say definitely check out some of our other videos, but a short run through of Aeternia. We're a micronation that's located right now in North Alabama. We have been going on for about 6 years, again about 4 years on YouTube, and we are trying to develop right now our capital of Vitae. We purchased a piece of property here in North Alabama, about 3.5 acres. Well, we're now in Georgia right now, but in North Alabama, we purchased a property of about 3.5 acres last year, and we have been developing that ever since, trying to make it habitable. The first people that we want to inhabit it are us, of course, but over time we're hoping to be able to continue to develop and not only bring the industries that we've been developing, such as our metal refining and metal casting industry, but also just the other things that we've been doing, including the production of YouTube videos. onto that land and have other citizens able to live there, become residents, and actually develop their own lives. There is a lot of homelessness in North Alabama, especially with a number of the big cities there. And it would be nice to be able to assist those populations, as well as just people who aren't satisfied with the way that their lives are going and want some change. We hope to, in that time, also have the ability to provide those people who want to live there with jobs, although the initial phase of the plan is to develop housing for those people and, of course, water and electricity, septic system, and to be able to offer those people to stay there rent-free, but they would have to seek external employment for most of their needs. And then over time, as we could provide more and more of that percentage of employment, we could help more people out with that. We could provide additional benefits as our different industries grow, go into agriculture and things like that, making life in Aeternia just that much more comfortable for the base people. But in addition, there are a ton of micronations all over the place, and there are a lot of wonderful stories to learn about each of them. I'm curious as to what, so you said you stumbled into Sealand, and that really got you interested in micronationalism. Do you feel like there is, well, first off, Sealand's a very popular one. Do you feel like there's something that gets you personally interested in micronationalism? Like, is it just the concept of, oh, it's people doing different things? Is there something in particular that you were upset about in the place that you currently live? You said you're in Louisiana. I am originally from Louisiana, so that's pretty coincidental, I guess. But the question there to me is, what is it that you find really appealing about micronationalism? What is it that's the thing that, that gets you excited about it? Because for me, it's, my family was pretty poor for my whole life. Even now, I had the opportunity to get an education and to do a little bit better for myself, but trying to go from not having a ton of money and not having a ton of support to building that up can be a lot. And so I want to be able to offer people a better base, and I felt like my family had a place that even if somebody loses the job, even if there's a crazy medical situation that happens or whatever, you're not just in trouble, you're not just SOL, you have something that you can do and a way to be supported by the community that's around you. Again, that's just my philosophy on it. That's the reason for developing Aeternia. But micronations run the whole spectrum: political intrigue and personal development. Francisco says Muslim community in Yara has the same rights as other communities in Yara, and that they want independence. And we will not allow that because Yara is heavily reliant on northern Rhodesia province because of agriculture. That's pretty cool. I wish you guys luck, but again, it seems like it'd be better to just cooperate with those people if they're the ones who are producing all the agriculture and doing all that stuff, rather than just to say, oh, well, we're just going to fight you the entire time, because they wouldn't be super productive if they're constantly upset and arguing with you, right? That's just my sense. So, we have Chad there saying that they're in, yes, I'm cool, and then saying peace, justice, progress is a process. I could take part of in building. That's very cool. I can definitely respect that, Chad, and I think that's something that a lot of people feel like. I'm living this life, I'm going to a 9 to 5, you may have a hobby here and there, but feeling like you're not actually connected to your community super well, feeling like you aren't doing something that is going to be remembered, it's going to be recognized in your life. And I think that's tough. I think that's scary for a lot of people, and I think it makes you feel like as a person you don't have a lot of value when the people who are working, people who are making things, are the entire reason we have the society that we have. And it's incredibly important on a local level, especially, to be able to support resources, to be able to make sure that everybody has enough and that everybody is doing the job that they work best in and is doing things that makes them feel like they're creating a fulfilling life themselves and their families. That's super important. Let's see. That says, plus I have a good wooden desk, so a nameplate and a flag would be fun too. I can definitely respect that. A lot of people get into micronationalism for fun, and that's something that's super important. I think it's feeling like you enjoy what you're doing. Again, like super, super critical. The one thing that I would say though, Chad, and this doesn't just go for you, this goes for everybody. I've made some videos in the past talking about problems that micronations have. And in the case that you are thinking about starting your own or joining another one, I would definitely preference you and recommend that you try to join another micronation. Even if it's not the Empire of Aeternia, which we would of course love to have you, joining and participating as a citizen in another micronation, even if you're not local to them, there's still a lot you can do. But the reason that it's so beneficial to join them is because micronations run the gamut of political theory and interest, and have all sorts of different goals. You know, there's Sealand, there's Molossia, there's Westartica, there's all these different places that have all these different goals, and I mean literally hundreds of micronations out there. And so a lot of the time what happens is micronations will be born and die because they have very similar goals, interests, and even cultures to other micronations around them, either because they emulate them at first to get started, or because there's just such a saturation of the types of nation that you can make. There's only so many types of nations that you can be legitimately serious about pushing and developing that are things that other people would be interested in developing alongside you. And so that being the case, there's a ton of overlap in micronationalism, and it leads to this issue where people are doing a lot of work in progressing micronationalism as a whole, but that work doesn't amount to very much because it's divided up amongst hundreds of micronations. If every micronation has, about 2 to 12 citizens in it, all working toward its own individual interests, but there are 80 micronations that have basically the same large-scale goals and interests, you would be so much more efficient to work together in some of those capacities, to even be a part of the same nation, so that you could have some direct governance and drive and ability to pursue those goals in a much more efficient way, in a much more productive way. And so that's what I recommend personally. Again, people just as well like developing micronations for fun, and they're not trying to do anything more with it. So if that's something that you're interested in, I can definitely understand that. By all means, first and foremost, enjoy what you're doing. But if you happen to be wanting to develop something that you can see make a lot of progress in your lifetime, if you want to be a part of something bigger, joining another micronation is generally the way to go. On top of all the reasons that I just said, also because micronationalism takes a lot of skill in a lot of different areas. Nobody's great at it. A lot of people are pretty good at it, including myself. So it's important to learn about that. If you're going to be, the next stage of micronationalism or whatever, if you're going to really push the boundaries of what people are doing, you have to learn from other people. You have to not fall into the same traps and mistakes that they have, because when you're developing a large organization of any kind, but especially a country that has a government that has, specific defined laws and rules in it, some mistakes are not unfixable, but very, very hard to fix and very hard to backtrack from. Once you start developing in a particular way, it's very hard to undo. So it can be a lot. Francisco says, we cannot cooperate with those who pledged allegiance to the Islamic State. I definitely get that. Yeah, 100%. That's tough. That's wild. I don't exactly know what to tell you there, Gar. I wish you good luck. But I'm curious to see. First off, Chad said, I don't have, quote, the vision to start my own, but joining one seems almost as risky. I completely agree with that. And that's why I would say keep two big things in mind about micronationalism, if I were you. The first is that you can always leave a micronation. You know, because micronations are specifically developed inside recognized countries, you know, unless somebody's kidnapping you, they can't make you be a part of a nation. You know, they can't make you be a part of their micronation, I should say. So that being the case, when you start to research nations and you start to figure out what it is that you like and what you're wanting to do, understand that all of the effort that you're providing to this group is something that is at your discretion. You know, you can say, hey, this is what I'm okay with, this is what I'm not okay with, this is what I can provide, this is what I can't provide. And if that ever becomes untenable, unreasonable, you can always back out of that, and that's fine. You have the right and ability to do it. You can really do that. In micronationalism, that is more reasonable. Macronationalism, legally, but if you're just wanting to leave something that you no longer support, you have every right to do that. The second thing, do a lot of research, because you will learn from micronations' interactions with other nations. They will have some kind of reputation in the community. They will have a lot of information that is advertisement to other citizens, whether, you know, they will have some kind of place that they convene to discuss things and hold meetings or have informational sessions. And that's incredibly important, following their social media, stuff like that. Getting their founding documents, whether that's a constitution. In Aeternia, we have the Guide of Foundation Principles, which describes a bit of, check out their website, doing things like that, getting to know the citizens, the government, asking them 1,000,001 questions, is something that really allows you to get a feel for a community, a group of people. It's kind of like you wouldn't just join roommates or something. Like, you wouldn't just move in with a group of people that you didn't really feel like you knew. And so there's nothing wrong with hanging out in a community for a while and saying, hey, I'm just going to, you know, see how it is here. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to, you know, kind of tiptoe my way in, ask if I can get more information and stuff, and figure that out. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, coupled with the fact that you can leave at any time, I think that's the lowest risk way to do it. Again, don't sign your anybody. Don't, you know, give people a ton of money and do stuff like that. But as you work and as you develop your own interests, it can be incredibly beneficial to have taken that time to learn about these different nations, because you may find, oh dang, there's a group out there that has been developing something that I've been interested in doing for the past X number of years, and they're close. All they need is this and this and this, and as it turns out, I have skills in that because I was trying to go about doing the same thing. So I was learning about all the same things you would need to accomplish that. I have the skill set necessary to help out. And that's a really powerful thing. We've seen that happen in our Discord, where different micronations will like unite and become the same micronation, or will like form an alliance or like an organization or something, because they all realize they're doing the same thing. And that can be very silly at sometimes, because sometimes that'll cause like infighting and breaking apart of nations and stuff. But it's ultimately something that allows for incredible cooperation, and if you can continue to foster an environment that supports that cooperation, you can do a lot in micronationalism. So I would suggest that you join a group of people if you can. It will be very valuable to those people. More than likely, if they get some good work out of you, you know, if you can show that you are valuable, you will get lauded with praise, and you will, you know, be put on a pedestal, because micronations have a hard time finding labor, because most of them can't afford to hire full-time employees. And also, micronations generally are fairly niche, such that even people who may have these skills and abilities to contribute well may not be interested in it, because not only would they have to be interested in micronationalism, they would also have to be interested in the specific niche genre of political micronationalism that micronation engages in. So again, I have been exactly where you are. Before I started Aeternia, I wanted to join another micronation when I started in the community, and so I looked for like several months and emailed multiple different micronations, and either never heard anything back, and like filled out citizenship applications and stuff for several nations, either never heard anything back, was told that like there really wasn't any way I could help out or do much because they weren't really doing much, and there was a lot of headaches with it. So either that, or that they don't accept citizens that aren't like their friends and family and stuff. And so it can be hard to join another micronation. If you can find ones that you like and ones that are open to helping out, I'd say join. Whitewood says, what have I missed? We've been talking about newcomers to micronationalism. Chad is a newcomer to micronationalism relatively, and we're glad to have him here. Again, thank you, Chad. If you like the channel, definitely subscribe. We're trying to get to YouTube monetization right now, which takes 4,000 watch time hours per year, so it's a rate of watch time hours, which sucks because it means that if I don't stream for like a couple weeks or whatever, or post a video that does well, our watch time will drop down, and so we'll get further away from monetization, even though our total, excuse me, I'm becoming a teenager, our total monetization, I'm reverting, our total monetization, our total watch time hours, goodness, have increased, the rate will have decreased. So that's something that we have to work on a lot, and that we're constantly pushing towards. So if you subscribe, if you watch these streams, if you keep up with us, if you join our Discord server, if you check out our website, you can get more information, but it also just helps us to grow and to do better. Chad said, welcome back. Max says, I'm late, enlighten me. Awesome. What's up, Max? Max Portillo is somebody who's been a part of the channel and our community for a long time. Max, we've been talking about in general newcomers to the micronational community, but more specifically, the topic of this video was supposed to be talking about the concept that micronations provide a value to people in the sense that it's the ability to hope for a better life and to put together practical steps in order to achieve that life. And so whether that's for an individual who's looking to join a micronation, or as the government itself that has established this nation and is trying to recruit people, it's incredibly important to know what you want and to advocate for that. That's going to help the newcomers find the micronations that they are interested in. That is going to help the governments of other micronations to understand what it is that micronation is doing and how they're going about their things, to understand if alliances would work out and stuff like that. And then as well, it helps the government of that micronation itself to be able to say, are we achieving the right things, and are we promoting the right things to our citizens? Are we making those citizens happy, and are we making them feel like we represent their best interest and what they want out of life? So it's really tough, but it is something, excuse me, that is super necessary to do as we develop our micronations, because that can ultimately be the place of most conflict and most struggle with these groups. White One says, is it just me or is it loading? Let me know if there's a problem. I would appreciate it. Francisco says, they're claiming they are part of the Balkan province of the Islamic State. That sounds gross. I'm sorry. Max says, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry if it's doing a weird buffering. That sucks. Keep me updated, I guess, guys. I don't want it to be constantly garbage. White Wind says, I am gonna have to find cheaper medical insurance for my citizens. It's too much to pay. Bank might close White Wind's account. We are so far in debt. Uh-oh, I'm sorry to hear that, White Wind. That's definitely scary. But I also know that it's important to understand your limitations. If you want to make providing insurance for people something that is a part of White Wind's development plan, and something that you want to be a right for citizens, you may have to have a small number of citizens. The problem with health insurance is that generally, just like anything else you purchase, the more in bulk you can purchase, the cheaper it is per person or per item that you purchase. But in your case, because you're dealing with a relatively small economy, I would think, starting with just 1 or 2 citizens would be the best way to do that. And then once you have industries developed, once you have external sources of income that can help facilitate the growth of that health insurance plan, then you could expand to getting more citizens. Max says, establish a school that teaches basic medical skills. That sounds important. I would definitely think that could be cool, except you'd have to be careful because in different places, like licensing and regulation and stuff can be tricky. I guess as long as you're not saying that there is, that you're certified in any way to do it, you could, and specifically saying that you're not certified to do it, you may be able to get away with it, but I would still think that feels a little bit concerning unless you go through the proper training and are someone with a medical background. White One says we have no actual land. Chad says makes sense. White One says we have no money to buy land. It is very hard out here, White One. I completely agree. That's why I'm saying if you have anything that you can do, you know what I mean? It sounds like you're in rough straits. If you can make YouTube content, if you can, post Twitter posts, if you can, do stuff on Instagram, if you can develop websites, if you can write story, whatever it is that you can do. If you can draw, please reach out. If you make music, please reach out to us and let us find something that we can do together, some way we can collaborate, because I think it'll help out White Wind and Aeternia. Max says, at least you have some domestic source of medical coverage for a fraction of the cost. Very true. Max says, I see. Max says, you need to establish a strong economy. Yeah, agreed, Max. I think he's just talking about the fact that it's difficult, and it is. It takes years to do that. Wayman says, yes, I know. I've been trying to for a few months. By months, I mean 11 months now. Chad says, right. Yeah, it's tough. It can be a whole dilemma. Wayman says, welcome to micronationalism, Chad. Oh, goodness. I don't know if after saying my country's in debt and I'm struggling, they're going to close our bank account. Welcome to micronationalism is a great way to introduce somebody. But yeah, that is a great way to just show that that's something that happens. It's real, and it's important to understand. Micronationalism is expensive. I have spent a significant amount of money on micronationalism, more so than I've made from it, for sure. And it's something that is about trying to pursue that life that you want to live. So that is a risk that has to be taken. That is something that is a cost of doing business to some extent, but more so than that, the value that you're trying to chase that is tough to keep up with. So it's definitely a big undertaking. It's a big commitment to develop a country and say, well, I'm going to represent these people and I'm going to take care of these people and we're going to find a way out of this struggle. If everybody's struggling individually, they're still going to be struggling together, but they may make more headway together. So somebody's got to eat the cost of that and sustain the losses that takes to slowly develop into something successful. And if you aren't able to do that, it's better to join and assist another organization to lighten their load and make it more feasible for them to achieve their goals and become more stable. So that way, if you do want to develop something later, you have a friend to help you do that. And as well, you may just be well compensated by that anyway. Even if you say, I want to stay in this micronation, I don't have an interest in joining another one. Cool, you may be at a very high point on the social ladder there. Max says, I see. Chad said, thank you. Max says, yes, the United Empire welcomes you. Hey, very cool. Everybody's super welcoming and super supportive. That's another thing. Be wary in the micronational community because sometimes people are a little bit toxic. It can be kind of rough. We have fortunately found a pretty nice little community, have kind of filtered out a lot of negative people. There are still plenty of negative people who come in and people who are just trying to, cause problems. But for the most part, our community is pretty welcoming and supportive, and I'm super grateful for that. Thank you guys for representing the best that Aeternia and the micronational community have to offer. Whitewind says, don't let what I'm saying make you think it's too hard to run a micronation. I started my micronation when I was 11 years old, so I'm trying to fix what I started. Whitewind says, on top of fixing what I started, I am trying to make my micronation appealing to macronation citizens so I can get more population. Absolutely, and that's very tough. 100%. Free healthcare. Right. Free healthcare can be wonderful, but expensive. Necessary, but expensive. Victor says, welcome, chat. Greetings, Emperor Von Doom. Hope you're doing well. Emperor Von Doom is the husband of Empress Alicia Von Doom of the Draconian Empire. They are both the heads of state of the Draconian Empire, and it's good to have them here. They have been making, as of yesterday, their first independent live stream on our YouTube channel, so super grateful to have you both here. And also thank you guys for the likes. If you haven't liked the stream so far, if you do, it helps to spread it out to a larger audience. YouTube will share the stream with more people if they know more people have actively gone out of their way to like it, to write comments, and to interact and stuff. So thank you guys. And then that gets us more people to join in the convo. Max says, White Wind, have you tried to open a trade school or something where you could always have citizens with a skilled economy supporting the country? Max, I definitely understand what you're saying. Those sound like very large-scale plans, though. Like, in saying, we should develop trade schools, we should develop medical schools, things like that. Schools are certainly very profitable, potentially, and very valuable, very necessary. Those are very expensive undertakings. To build a building, to host classes, to have, electricity, to have, accounting, to be registered as a business in your area, to be potentially licensed for whatever it is you're trying to teach. All of those things can be very difficult. And so a cheaper alternative, I think you have to start a lot smaller. I don't think White Wind is to the place where they can invest in a school to then invest in healthcare. I think they would, if they had the money to build the school, they would probably have the money to pay for the healthcare for the number of citizens they have, if that makes sense. But White Wind, let me know. White Wind says, as a 14 or 15-year-old, I don't think government officials would take me too seriously. Max says, understandable. For example, some of our citizens refurbish desks and sell it, just other little jobs too, but easier said than done there. Many ways to go about it. Agreed. And absolutely, that's something that's really important. Trying to find ways to create that value for your nation. Whiteland says, I'll see if any of my citizens would want to do some refurbishments and resell to get a bit of money from it. Absolutely. Max says, even just simple sewing of wooden trinkets, 100%. Max says, we've been looking for trading partners for a while. Hey, very cool, Max. Have you thought about hitting us up? Again, we have some stuff, and I would be excited to see what we could do. But yeah, I'm gonna get another sip. I think that's my biggest, I don't know if it's my biggest concern about micronationalism, but it's definitely my biggest uncertainty with micronationalism. First off, Master Dionite joined us. Hello, Emperor AP. What's the stream topic about? Hey, Master Dionite. In case you don't know, our stream today is about the value that micronations bring to the lives of different people. Whether it's the people who are starting the micronation and have this vision for what they want their life and their community to be like, or whether it's the individual citizens who are also joining and participating for those same reasons. So micronationalism is supposed to improve quality of life. It's supposed to say that, hey, you deserve to live a better life. You deserve to have a better quality of life. And this is what we think as the Empire of Aeternia, as the Empire of White Wind, as whatever it is, that is the way that we should go about that. And plenty of times there are disconnects between what the government of a micronation sees as its interest versus what certain citizens see as their interest. Sometimes we have an idea for what we want in our heads and the way that things should go, but our plans and our objectives don't necessarily align well with that or go about achieving that very efficiently. So that's what our topic is today, is effectively what micronationalism is as far as defining that value for people, and also how to understand what people's interests are in a micronation, why they are doing that. So for example, we have excuse me, I'm jumping back. We have Chad in our chat right now, who is somebody who's new to micronationalism and says that he's still kind of on the fence about it, trying to figure out his role to play in the community. Does he want to start a micronation? Does he want to just, kind of be an observer? Does he want to join another micronation? And so looking through that perspective, talking about when I was, first up in micronationalism and wanting to be a citizen of other nations and stuff, exactly what that feels like, and then also contrasting that to the fact that there are so many micronations out there that do so much of the same work that it really becomes an inefficient process instead of joining other nations, as to how we can continue to build and develop. So there's a lot that goes into that. We've been talking about it for an hour and a half almost. So sorry to not be able to cover everything, but that's the general topic, and essentially learning about why different micronations, like you yourself, Master DNA, create what they do, and why they made the decisions that they made, leading them to where they are now. I think that's very informative for people like Chad who are joining us in the chat, but it's also informative for other micronations to be able to compare notes and to see, hey, is the way that I'm going about this the best way to represent what I actually mean? Is this a good way to get citizens? Am I recruiting amongst the right groups of people to find people who are going to be sympathetic to the things that I want my micronation to be about? And that all goes into roughly the same topic. White Wind says, White Wind is a modified constitutional monarchy, mostly leans on a republic monarchy, though I have a final say of anything since it is my micronation after all. Makes sense. Max says, same, I believe any good leader has the same concerns. Oh wait, hold on. I missed multiple messages. Sorry about that. Max says, yes, we would love to establish a trade agreement, however we have some nations that we must be wary of. Makes sense. Again, just feel free to reach out whenever you can at aeternianempire@gmail.com or via Discord if you're in our Discord. White Wind says, I just hope that my successors, or even through our website, there's a way you can message us through that. White Wind says, I just hope my successors keep White Wind going. I'm certain they will, White Wind. Max says, same, I believe any good leader has the same concerns as well. White Wind says, White Wind is a modified constitutional monarchy. Yep. Max says, yes, we have a mixed monarchy. Emperor Von Doom says, White Wind, it's not your age, it's what you do with the power your citizens have allocated to you. Very wise, Emperor Von Doom. He said, remember, they're child actors that make more money in a day than we all make in a year. One must play chess, not checkers. Agreed. White Wind says, good point. Max says, agreed. I ascended the throne quite young. I think a lot of people do. It seems to be a common theme in the community. Unity says, one must play Risk. Got him. That's funny for two reasons. One, because Risk, the war game. Also, because we have played a number of Risk tournaments here on the channel as an alternative to people getting into these micronational wars and stuff like that. We just decided, hey, let's have a big Risk tournament on the channel. We did that a few times. And that's been really cool. So I definitely appreciate that. We should be playing more Risk. White One says, man, I am good at Risk and checkers, though. That's awesome. What's that? Oh, yeah, it is. It's cutting off. Dang. Well, we're accelerating. Get it. Get it, Tiff. Get it, Tiff. Thanks. White Wind said, yeah, I lost the first round. That's all right. I lost pretty quickly as well. I thought I was doing good and like holding my own in the first wrist tournament. In both wrist tournaments, I didn't even come close to like being the final person. I got myself whooped. I think in the first wrist tournament, I came in like third to last, and then the second one, I think I was knocked out like in the second round, like very quickly I was knocked out. Max is fine for me. Republic of Unity says one risk at 16 and 30 minutes. Hey, that's very cool. Congrats. You might be excited for if we do another risk tournament then. I don't know when we would do it because we have to have like the internet to do it and all, and it's been a little difficult in that department. But when we can do another risk tournament, we will definitely be having Unity come to show us how it's done. White Wind said, yeah, I remember the first tournament very well. I came in second to last. Hey, absolutely. I remember it as well. And then it was tough because, oh goodness, you both had like really good countries. If I remember correctly, I think it was you that had like all of the Americas, and then they had like all of Asia, and then you guys were fighting over Europe. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I appreciate it. Or I may have the people reversed. It was like you and no, okay. King Michael won the second tournament. King Michael of Perpetual. I forget who won the first tournament. You did come in second. I remember that.
This dude is such an asshole.
I'll have to think about it.
He straight up got mad that I had to come over. And then he wanted to ride her bike. And then he wanted to bypass me and the car in front of me. And now he wants to slow us down.
What a jerk to us.
Yeah, and he was weaving in front of the car after he got in front of me. He was just doing this motion like, ugh. You're dumb.
Good way
If
to
you want to go
cause
quick,
car
then just go
accidents.
quick. Quick lane. Quick lane just being mad at other people because they were ahead of you.
100%. First off, Republic of Simulia says hi. Hey, what's going on, Simulia? It's good to see you. If you don't know today, we're talking about effectively just why micronations have such a strong benefit on people, and how we as micronations can understand what it is that our goals and interests are, and how to properly move toward those goals, as well as to represent those goals to people who we might want to recruit. As well, on the flip side, we've been talking to Chad, who is a newcomer in micronationalism, trying to learn about it. And so, talking from his perspective on as well how an individual comes to learn about micronations and understand what it is that they see as the value that micronationalism brings in their life and what they have to offer to different micronations. That can be the source of a lot of benefit for a micronation if they can do it well, or it can become the source of constant headaches if you don't know how to tackle that topic well. So it's something that everybody deals with, and I think right now we have a pretty good mix of people in the chat to be able to like hold their own in that conversation. People are really providing some like good feedback. Emperor Von Doom, I appreciate your responses. White Wind, of course, you've been holding up the conversation really hard. I can appreciate that. You've been supporting it a lot. And just giving a lot of good insight into your own personal situation, which is always the best way, I think, to teach people. To say, hey, this is what happened to me. This is what I've been trying to do to fix it. And that's also the best way to learn yourself. People may have great advice to give. Unity said, I wonder if there's a risk that would be playable online. Yes, that's what we used to do. In the Risk tournaments that we held, we had online Risk. It's free to play. That we would just invite people to, and we would compete against them on the channel. It was pretty cool. We need to do it again at some point, but we have had difficulty again just having the internet capability to both stream and to hold the tournament. So that's been a little bit difficult. White Wind says I have 983.2 hours in Risk. 900, almost 1,000 hours playing Risk, or in your micronation. Oh, my apologies. White Wind says, what we need is a Hearts of Iron 4 tournament for micronations. I would win that. I have 983 hours in it. Still, that's an incredible amount. What do you do in Hearts of Iron? You're dedicating 1,000 hours of your life to that? Jeez. I say that, I'm probably totaled up, close to that on something. But still, that's a lot. Maybe not that much, hundreds of hours for sure. 1,000 hours, that's so much life. That's a lot of life. Max Portillo says the United Empire is trying to make a North American union based on mutual recognition and possible trade agreements and general assemblies. Hey, very cool. I wish you luck in that. I know that's something that's particularly difficult, partially again because micronations are just so diverse. A lot of micronations aren't super excited to work with one another. Some are, and then on top of that, a lot of the time it's hard to find micronations that will support each other. Will come to agreement on a way to move forward, which is a headache in and of itself. But that's part of diplomacy, I guess. Emperor Von Doom said, White Wind, create a private trust, create non-incorporated business associations, and build your economy that way. That makes sense. White Wind says, Emperor Von Doom, like PepsiCo and Nestle. That definitely makes sense. Although I will say Pepsi and Nestle are corporations, so they are incorporated. They are specifically incorporated. But that's particularly interesting. I think I'm not even going to try and assume what he's saying there. But small businesses generally, oh goodness, let me drop the phone. Small businesses generally are the way to kind of get started. Things that you can do, like we talked about previously, trying to make and sell craft items and stuff like that. Somebody said, I think Max Portillo said, repairing and refurbishing items, all of that can be very valuable for sure. One of the things that's interesting, just driving through places like this is really interesting because it's incredibly beautiful. There's a ton of farmland, both in North Alabama where we are, as well as in Georgia here where we're going to, and it's really disheartening because of how expensive the land is. That's fine. I mean, we're lucky to even have the 3.5 acres that we have, but I know that as the next year comes, the price of land, especially big plots of land like this that isn't subdivided into a little cul-de-sac or something, or an apartment complex or something, is going to be incredibly hard to find, or just outrageously expensive. We'll eventually get it, and we'll be able to grow and do more, but I hate to see what the price will be in 10, 15 years. Victor says, no, like private clubs, private bars, churches, etc. That makes sense. And that's definitely a difficult thing to do. Those are all, they're, I guess, easier to do than setting up a corporation, but in the case of long-term development, there's still going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort put into it. But you're right, doing things that can be started relatively easily and kind of progressed as it gets more popular is very important. White Wind says, I have 983 hours in Hearts of Iron 5 because it's a slow-paced game. If you want to win the game, it takes place in 1936 to 45, so World War II. White Wind says, yes, it's World War II, but I usually play as the United States and joined the Allies in 1939 and rushed Germany before 1940. Hey, that's pretty cool. Okay, so you're getting a leg up on history. You're like, I know what happened. I'm going kick butt before it even. I guess it's before more than like halfway into the war. Because yeah, that's crazy. Interesting. It's cool that you're so good at it though. Like I know there are some like fandoms of people who are super dedicated to games like that, and I've been hype about like Civilization and stuff before, but I've never put that much time into one. I generally like relatively fast-paced stuff, even if it's like a strategy game, like a turn-based thing or something that's going to take a while. I still don't want to be playing it for like a year, I'll like, the same match for like a year, I'll play a match for, a day or two, and then be like, yeah, that's kind of my limit. Oh, Max says, well, I must go. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Max. But it's good to see you. Max said, I appreciate you liking the video. Thanks for hanging out with us, and I can't wait to see you next time. Whiteman says, at Imper Von Doom, how easy is it to create those? Because I need to look into it more. That's a great question. I know you asked it to Imper Von Doom, so I'm sure he'll come up with a response. I think it's probably relatively easy to start them because there aren't any base requirements. For example, a church could be hosted in your house, or in just a small shed or something. A private bar, kind of the same thing. You could technically have one like in your basement or something if you really wanted to. But it certainly depends on zoning and restrictions and stuff like that in your area as well. Some places are really strict with, if you're zoned in a residential area and you have a private bar in your house or something, you could get in trouble if people found out about it. So yeah, that's something that's definitely interesting to have, but difficult to start in the beginning, I guess. If you're talking about Victor Von Doom says, do your research, it can be extensive. Contact us at your convenience. Very cool. Okay. So you guys will be able to link up on that. Again, I think for now, your best bet for small scale stuff, if you really don't have a lot of money, trying to do things online digitally, because you won't have any startup costs. You won't have to buy anything, do anything. Next thing, probably like refurbishing stuff like that. Like they were saying, if you can go to garage sales or you can go to the dump or something and find something that's valuable, or talk to friends and family and neighbors, people who may have old equipment, stuff like that you can fix up and sell. That can teach you a lot, give you a lot of skills, but it can also be something that's just very valuable on its own as far as what you can sell those pieces for. But again, if you really are starting from scratch, you can't get around the places, can't get materials, can't get any tools to refurbish stuff, I would say start online. It's probably the best way to go. But I hope everybody's enjoyed our conversation today. I am probably going to start winding it down, so as we get closer I can start getting prepared. But I appreciate everybody hanging out with us today. I feel like, for myself, getting to see everybody's opinions kind of on this topic, hearing Max talk about his nation, hearing White Wind, of course, going over their stuff, Imper Von Doom and Master Dionite discussing. These are all people who have been a part of our community for a long time and have been very supportive of us. But it's not without having those newcomers, those people like Chad, who are really giving us kind of a fresh perspective and a fresh insight. I think is going to be super, super valuable. So I feel like I learned a lot, and I hope, Chad, you hang out and stay a part of our community for a while. And to everybody else, I hope you've gained some knowledge here, just kind of through us sharing stories, talking about what it means to develop a micronation, talking about our struggles and our difficulties, and having an honest and open conversation about what it means to move forward and to progress, even in the face of that adversity, and to talk about realistic expectations. I don't think there's enough of a culture around that in micronationalism, and I think that needs to change. But my voice is getting destroyed, so I will talk to all of you later. White Wind says, all right, at Victor Von Doom. Victor Von Doom said Imper AP is very correct. Affiliate marketing and dropshipping. Absolutely. But I hope you all are doing well, and I will catch you another time. Peace, guys. Aeternia forever.